This conference will now be recorded.
I got 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I believe we do not have any amendments, so I just need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Review the minutes from a regular meeting of January 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve the 118 regular meeting minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Accounts payable, Mrs. Sarah.
There's about two of note, 79899. That was that snow pusher that we approved at a previous meeting. And 79910, the fire dues. The rest is fairly routine. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $125,148.81.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thanks, Sarah. We'll open the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals may address the city council about any items of concerns. Speakers must state their name and limit the remarks to 5 minutes. Don't look like we got public comments again, so we will close that portion and we will jump down to, go to Pat. We're waiting for the other gentleman. New business, police officer recognition, Pat.
We're gonna, we wouldn't need to skip. We're running a little behind with
Okay,
that. So.
sorry. We'll jump to 8B, Police Department Annual Report.
You should have a copy of our annual report, a little longer than it has been in the past. Turn that on. All right. So, this year's, it's not too far off from last year as far as final numbers and so forth. But a couple of things I do want to highlight. Some of the upticks in some of the different areas that we have for calls for service. A real positive one would be the community engagement. That's up quite a bit. But there's some other things that we've just seen a lot of increase in, and a lot of them have to deal with things involving fraud, forgery, counterfeiting. Last December, we had a significant issue with counterfeiting throughout the city, and I just suspect, we're going to just see more and more of that. Burglaries are up a little bit. Domestic assault, that was up. Motor vehicle theft was up. It's very important not to leave your car running in front of especially convenience stores. Could get your car stolen. But I did include a bunch of graphs in there. I would say traffic offenses, as far as citations and so forth, we've seen more of a decrease in that. A lot of the offenses are, see a lot of the ones that are highlighted in there. But overall, traffic enforcement, the actual citations were down just a little bit compared to in the past. I also included not only these graphs, but we included the TZD annual report as well, which shows that's a county-wide report, but on the very last page of it, it shows Zembroda's numbers, and that gives you a lot of information, like how many hours were dedicated by our agency, as well as how many miles were used during that time, the actual total stops, total DUIs, as well as the citations, how many citations may have been issued during that period of time. Other than that, there's not a whole lot more to offer. It's not really that much different, but unless anyone has any questions.
I don't. I always look forward to looking at this report every year. It's kind of interesting to see, to compare it from previous years to this year. So thank you and the rest of the officers for doing a great job and keeping our city safe.
You bet.
Perfect. Any questions for Chief? Perfect. Let's jump back to 8A, police officer requisition. Scott.
Thank you. We got caught in a little rush hour traffic. I have my assistant with me today, Dominic, my grandson. So he keeps me in line.
Come on in, Dominic.
Yeah.
Come on in, buddy.
They're done. It's Grandpa Thursday, so we hang out every Thursday, and today was his lucky day to come along. My name is Scott McConkey. I'm the law enforcement liaison for Southern Minnesota, and about 28 years ago, I was your night trooper covering all of this area of the state. I was having too much fun, so they figured they better promote me and make me sit at desk and sent me to Mankato, where I'm out of now. But where I serve, I have all Southern Minnesota, and when I met your chief, he was in Hector. And he didn't realize he didn't move far enough to get out of my area, so I followed him over here as well. But I'm glad you're all surviving the heat wave. Just remember, drink plenty of water and use sunscreen. We'll do fine. But I'm here to give some recognition for DWI efforts. One thing I always want to point out right away, this is not a contest. It's not a race. But we've asked supervisors from across the state to bring forth the names of the officers that have taken the extra effort to put time and work into DWI enforcement. It takes a lot of work. It's not an easy process. And so when they have done that, we just want to say somebody noticed that you went out there, and that's the case today with Officer Evenson. Also want to point out that this is not just a law enforcement thing. This is all community thing. Traffic safety is for all of us, because it's all of us working together, citizens, government officials, law enforcement, to bring this all together to make for a safer community. So, sir, why don't you step on forward here? And now we kind of go with the athletic theme with the All-Stars, but this year they create a little athletic towel and our pin that designates you part of the club. So that's what he'll be receiving today in our just little way of saying thank you, something he can hang up there. So make sure we get a picture afterwards, but there you go, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions about that? Okay.
We should get that picture.
Yeah, yeah.
Right up by those
Oh,
flags.
okay. You know what, now, can you send me it? I came in so quick, I forgot my phone.
Not a problem.
Normally my photographer helps me out here.
Get on in there.
Kind of be nice to have a sheet, too, so-
Sure, yeah, sure. I'll get it.
Smile.
All right.
Ready? 1, 2. One, two. Great.
Awesome.
Got it.
Well, I'm just real quick, want to thank you for your time,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for allowing us to do this. It just, being I've known your chief for a while, I recognize you got a good chief, you got a good department, and you got a good council. That's a good formula for, great for a good community, so thank you.
We got great guys.
We're gonna go see your bridge.
All right.
Perfect.
Enjoy.
I was telling about it on the way. Thank you
No, but
again.
it's nice, so, yeah.
Perfect. Good job, Tyler. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service. Let's jump to 8C, Mill and Sixth Street bid award. Mr. Engerman.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I have really good news, and that is we opened bids yesterday at 2 o'clock for the Mill and Sixth Street project. And our estimated cost for the project was 2.4 million, and our bids came in under budget. Our low bid was submitted by Schumacher Excavating of Zumbrota in the amount of $2,155,380.77. And then that bid did also include about $48,000 of work for the school. So that's what we mentioned there at the last council meeting, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago, some work by Cougar Care and some of the other work with their entrance. So great news. So one of the things that we have to do when we have bids, so we evaluate them for any irregularities. Did they bid something really unusual, maybe high or low? An example of that would be they bid something at 10 cents a foot of pipe, or they bid it at $100,000 a foot, maybe, because if someone thought the quantities were going to be higher or lower, they might load the bid. So that was all good. The other thing that statutorily, the only thing you can consider in awarding a bid is, are they a responsive and responsible bidder? So there's some terms defined by statute. Schumacher Excavating, with their long history in the city of Zumbrota, long history of doing good work, they very easily meet those requirements. So with that, by the way, we had 7 bids, which is very good. One of the things right now in the bidding world, if you remember, 2 years ago when we bid Jefferson, we bid at the very end of the season, and we got good bids because we had somebody that needed work. It was Schumacher. Now this year we're at the beginning of the season, and Schumacher once again needed work. So I don't know if we're lucky or I don't know, maybe a combination of luck and good, but so I think it's definitely in the city's favor. But 7 bidders is a really big number. So that's really great for the city. So with that, recommendation is to award the contract to Schumacher Excavating. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or any comments.
What was the range of bids for?
2.7 to 2.1.
Correct.
2.7 was the highest, and then the lowest was 2.155. The only reason I know that I actually sat in there because I had never been there for an opening of a bidding. So I sat in this one to see. Yeah, it was real exciting.
What's exciting on the contractor side?
Well, yeah, it was kind of neat because a lot of the contractors were there because they all did it via Zoom. So and Scott checked in, checked out, put everything together, and just start with the top bid, went to the lowest bid. So it was interesting, something that I have never seen done, which, it wasn't exciting, but at least I got to see it. So it was like 2.7.
Oh, come on, it was exciting.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion to award the bid to Schumacher Excavation for Mill and Sixth.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. And I just want to give a shout out to Scott Hunnicky. I know he's the one that did all the bids and did all the work of putting them together. So again, thank WHKS and Scott for getting that done for us.
Yep, and one other thing, we've got a public meeting on Wednesday, February 7th at 6 p.m. right here in council chambers for that project. We sent out letters to everybody abutting and everybody that would be affected by the project. It does kind of have some fingers that get out a little ways with water and things like that. So all those letters were out, have been sent out, but it's an open meeting. February 7th, Wednesday, February 7th at 6 p.m. And we'll just answer questions, kind of like we did for Jefferson.
Yep, short presentation, just make sure everybody understands they're going to be living in a construction zone, which is challenging. Many of you've experienced construction, and it's disruptive. So.
Perfect. We'll jump down to 8D, Warren Avenue, St. Paul Road. Brian, do you want to start on that one?
Sure. Let me just get there. Mike was unable to be with us tonight. So this is an area down, and Bill can probably help me with this too. He's got the background on this area, but this is an area down on St. Paul Road and Warren. There's been some storm sewer issues, known issues there for a long time. Right now, we're draining across a property that has a potential to develop sometime in the maybe near future. So the landowner is gonna do all the work on their land to put a pipe through the land, and we're gonna do work in the road to get the storm sewer situation cleaned up there in anticipation at some point. There's probably gonna be further discussion on St. Paul Road and doing the paving and finishing that. No projection on when, but it could be coming, and this will kind of pave the way for that. Kind of the first step of something that needs to be cleaned up anyway. Is there anything, Bill, that?
Only thing to add is this was a part of the project that was bid several years ago, and ultimately the city decided to only move forward with the sewer and water portion. They pulled the roadway portion out. This project was going to be assessed, but this portion of storm sewer, because it actually drains an area not directly related to St. Paul, some other areas, was not going to be assessed. So that was the decision. The recommendation by staff was to move forward with this to help the property owner make their project more saleable. Brian and I have met with, we've been, different various people over the last couple of years who were looking to develop this. So this could be a potentially a nice piece of property to move forward with. So.
I guess my only question, just on the bottom of the estimate, it just says estimate for 2023 work. Is that going to make a difference now that we're not in 2023? I mean, is that price still going to be the same? I assume so, but I just don't want to.
That's also my assumption as well. If that's not, then we would have to come back and readdress it. So staff recommendation is to award this to Schumacher Excavating in the amount of $28,500.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian and Bill. Set public hearing to adopt building code fee schedule. Brian.
Yes, we approved moving to a different building official effective March 1st. Been working through that. And one of the things that we had talked about back then is that there's going to be a new building code fee schedule. We are, as many small communities are, way outdated on the building code fee schedule. And what MinSpec is asking for is that we start to incrementally creep up towards a current code or closer to a current code. But we're starting with the 1988 fee schedule based out on the 1988 Uniform Building Code, which is long gone, of course, but in the interest of not pumping up fees all the way at once. And this was one of the things that I really liked about their proposal. It was to incrementally move up over the years. But one of the other things that we want to look at is most communities adopt this fee schedule into the full fee schedule. And it always has been separate for us. And then in talking with Matt, we're of the opinion that we should move into adopting an ordinance each year for the fee schedule. Matt could probably explain a little bit more why on an ordinance, but that doesn't change what I'm asking you to do tonight to set a public hearing for the building code fees schedule changes. And then at that February 15th meeting, Matt's working on some ordinance language for us for the full fee schedule, and we'll ask you to act on that full schedule, including these at that time. Anything you want to add on the ordinance side of things?
Even just regular fees, it's just a little bit more, I guess, enforceable when it's done by ordinance. So we found something that we just published at the end of the year that strongly suggest that they just be done through ordinance. So it'd be basically the same process. We just put it in ordinance form and then we have to publish it.
Publish it afterwards. There'll be some publishing costs because it's quite a bit, but yeah, I think it's better.
So we're going to set that for the 15th of February at 6:05?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the building code fee schedule for next meeting at 6:05.
Perfect.
Yeah.
February 15th.
Yep.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Passes 500. Thanks, Matt and Brian. 8F, Resolution 2024-05, 2024 Election Judge Approval List. Mr. Grudem.
Yep. Creeping up on a presidential primary, we need to get the election judge list approved. Miranda came up with quite a few. You know, we're probably going to need to add to it for the general election. We usually need more than this. So we'll probably amend it later, but we need to get this one done and approved now. Yeah, good group of people. There's some really experienced ones in there, which is great on election day because when things go wrong, they've seen it all before most of the time, and it gets to be pretty hectic. So we're happy to have a lot of the same people we've had in the past. Just looking for an approval on that.
Roll call, right?
Yeah, it's
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024-05.
I'll second it.
Any further discussions? We'll do a roll call. Sarah?
Aye.
Bob?
Abstain.
true. Well, not working it though. Well, you can
Not
abstain.
working it, but
Yeah, you can
is
abstain.
there any conflict with that?
I would think so.
No,
Can you vote or just abstain to be better? Don't matter.
you could abstain and probably.
There's a quorum, probably doesn't matter.
Okay, we'll say abstain. Joan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
I say aye, passes 401. Thanks, Brian. Reports, Brian.
Okay. Had a whole page again.
Perfect.
So in last week's news record, there was a headline about Pine Island's public safety dollars. I know, I'm pretty sure we mentioned it in the council meeting, at least in a report at one point, that we did also receive public safety dollars, 165,000, Kim. So we do have those dollars and they are in our municipal reserve fund, just sitting there waiting for us to get going on a discussion with the council on how to use those dollars. There's been a lot of questions since that headline on Pine Islands. I started getting calls right away on, hey, did we get some of that? And yes, we did, 165,000. And again, we'll bring things to the council, have discussions on how we should spend that.
And we have some time too before we have to spend that.
There's no time on this one. There's no reporting that we can find. The fire department is already asking about it. And I've already been talking to other administrators on how they're using their dollars. So we'll bring some thoughts to the council, and then if the council has thoughts, I didn't include the whole list on here of what it can be used for and what it can't, because it's kind of a subjective list. Pat gets guidance, more guidance from his police chiefs association and that. So we'll do some brainstorming in-house, and then also whatever comes from requests from other agencies, and bring everything to the council, and we'll figure out how and where to best put that money so it gets used effectively for the public safety area. I attended the Minnesota League of Municipalities meeting on Wednesday this week, SEMLEM. It's easier to say than all the rest of that. There are cities there from across the 11 county SEMLEM region, and we were there to have the annual meeting, but also to vote on SEMLEM's 2024 legislative priorities. SEMLEM advocates on our behalf up at the Capitol for priorities as they're ranked. We were able to rank the top 3. There's about 12 on there, but that's too much to bite off for advocating. So we ranked the top 3, and they came out. The highest ranking was local government aid. to keep the regular, or to keep doing regular increases, restore the annual inflation adjustment that was on it before, and then permanently accelerating the annual payment schedule. The second highest ranked was ambulance service cost and liability. This is an effort that require Medicare to set ambulance rates to cover the cost of and reimburse 911 ambulance transports regardless of medical necessity, and require adequate reimbursement, making it easier for providers to file claims with Medicare. Now, as we know, that's a two-pronged thing. That's not just state, that would be federal as well. So that's a big effort, but that was number 2 on the list. And the third ranked priority was EMS delivery and sustainability task force. So that there's a task force studying EMS delivery and sustainability, and they've come out with one provision so far, and that is $125 million for one-time grants to cover the 2023 operating losses of Minnesota licensed ambulance services. And it prioritizes the immediate relief to keep Minnesota's emergency 911 ambulance services operating well. In the longer term, sustainable solutions are developed and implemented. So SEMLM, they're a great organization. Like I say, 11 counties represented, a whole lot of cities, and they will advocate for us on those priorities. Pat and I, Chief Callahan and I attended the Goodhue County Hazard Mitigation Plan meeting. It was a virtual meeting. Is it every 5 years, Pat, that the county has to redo their hazard mitigation plan? And so this is leading into the planning for that. There'll be 2 meetings, and then we'll have to provide some information on local hazards, if they've changed, if our priorities have changed, things like that. So yeah, that's it for me.
Perfect. Thanks, Brian. Matt? Chief?
Actually, Scott just wanted to mention one more thing that he wanted to relay, so I figured maybe fit him in my report time for just a minute. Is that all right?
Sure.
All right.
I'm messing with Robert's Rules of Order. I'm not really good at that. You know, as I was walking over the bridge, I forgot, I was in here such a rush. We were rush hour, we were trying to get here in time. There's part of it I wanted to share, that there's a tough side of the DWI rest too, and that's when it becomes personal. When it's you or a family member. And I had Dominic at a father-son grandfather retreat this last week. And the guy that was responsible for getting us all up there and organizing it for our church, he had several of his younger boys, but he got a call that evening that his older son was arrested for DWI. And we spent quite a bit of time talking. And it reminded me very well when I got that call, when it was my son. And out of that, what I shared with him, I've been sharing with city councils when I make this presentation. Our hope is that there's a good end out there, that there's a path to hope. Because I explained to this father, it's going to be tough. There's some hoops they're going to have to go through. But our hope is it gets down that trail. And I strongly believe in our criminal justice system, we always have to have a path to hope. And just one example that I reminded him of, I was a Fergus Falls cop about 3 lives ago, and I arrested a lady, and let's just say nothing went well. It just, normally I like to shake their hands and wish them well, but just nothing went good. Fast forward 5 years, my grandmother has Alzheimer's, she's in Wilmer. My mom put pictures of family all around. She was in there visiting my mom. You understand Fergus Falls, Wilmer, 100 and some miles apart. The nurse said, you know that person there? Yeah, it's my son. Wasn't in uniform, just family picture. Said, was he from Fergus Falls? Yeah. Does he work there? She goes, yeah, I hope you didn't have to meet him. He was a cop. And she goes, he did. He arrested me. Tell him he changed my life. So that's our desire. That's what I want to share. When it becomes personal, when, and it gets tough for us cops too once in a while when we do that. Just remember where the goal is that path to hope. So that's what I want to leave you with. So thanks for letting me bust in again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
For reports from me, the only thing I would like to add is that Brian and I met with Countryside, and we looked over some plans, some preliminary plans for a memorial that would potentially be out in front of our PD, incorporated with the new sidewalk that we planned on doing. And it looked very promising. Countryside, they did definitely put a lot of thought into making something very remarkable. And so there's going to be some more discussions on that. And I know that there are people and businesses interested in, in the fundraising end of things. And but it was really neat to see the efforts that were put into that. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it'll finalize, and then we'll see where it comes and as we move forward. But it was exciting to finally see that. It was way earlier last year that we had that initial discussion shortly after the funeral with Gary Schroeder. So we thought it would be something nice that maybe we could somehow incorporate with the property here. So but that's all I got.
Perfect. Yeah, I saw it too, and it actually turned out real nice. I know there's some tweaking that they want to do or stuff, but.
Yeah, we haven't rolled it out yet because we're still tweaking, but once we do, then you'll see the concept.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Chief. Bill, you have anything more to add?
One quick thing, sanitary district, our executive committee meeting is next Wednesday. We will be setting a special meeting towards the end of the month. So we have our first major submittal, which is due March 1st, and that's what's called our facilities plan. So we will submit that, and then we will come back to the council in the tentative, the first meeting in March. We have to have a public hearing. So all 4 communities will have a public hearing on that. We're anticipating the first meeting in March. We'll set that public hearing. Tentatively, we'll have that for April 4th. So expect to see some more of that regarding the sanitary district. Second item, the chief just mentioned Countryside. It reminded me, for our newer council members, the city received a grant, a federal appropriation to do a water main extension project, basically from Countryside or the Excel Energy spot all the way over to the cold storage on the other side of the highway. We have been, I don't know, what would you call it, Brian? Making our way through permitting. So we've been waiting for the EPA now for about 10 months for review, so we could go out to bid. And we just received word that somebody's now looking at it. So, which maybe about 8 months past when I would have liked to have done it, but it's moving forward, which is a positive sign. So for those of you that forgot about that project, that is a project that we did receive, about $600,000 in an earmark. Yeah,
No, 580.
At 580, yep, that'll be coming back. Hopefully we can go up to bid, knock on wood this spring with that. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Zimbrota EDA was awarded a small grant, $5,000 grant to do a architectural drawing of a possibility of a new community center at the UCC. The grant was funded through Compeer, which is big with CETA, and he will be here on the 6th, which is Tuesday at 9 a.m. to see like if we had a community center, what a possibility could look like. So it's not costing the city anything, and we got a grant for it. So it's pretty good.
Anything else, Bert?
Nope.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
I have nothing. Sarah? Bobby? Joan? Kevin?
Zimbrota Area Ambulance is just continuing their transition to their new billing service, so it was supposed to start today billing for January 1st, so the intervening time of not billing is now passed, and now they're going to start bringing money in again, so that should be good.
Perfect. Sounds good. Meeting adjourned.
Let's go drink.
Yeah. You come down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My